Welcome to Orbit Insight AI. All right, let's just dive right into this. We're looking at something wild today. An AI that doesn't just sit there assisting you, but actually actively runs your entire business, completely locally, right from your laptop. Today's explainer focuses on a tool called Axio Work. And listen, we're not just doing a basic feature tour here. We're going to break down how this platform is literally shifting the paradigm of what one single founder can pull off without hiring a single human employee. Here's the roadmap for today. We're kicking things off with the concept of the one-person company, then we'll see exactly how Axio Work operates. After that, we're running a real-world strategy test. We'll build a storefront from scratch, check out the autonomous background business team, and finally, we'll wrap it all up with the future of the solopreneur.
All right, Section 1, the one-person company, redefining the startup org chart. Let's start by looking at the traditional, honestly kind of bloated way we usually think about building a business. Because for decades, scaling meant exactly one thing: adding headcount.
Think about it. When you start a brand, you naturally think you need a strategist to figure out what to even sell, right? Then you need a researcher to track your competitors, a designer to build the storefront, an operations person to keep everything moving, and of course, an assistant to handle the endless, boring, repetitive grind. And let's be real, absolutely none of us want to be stuck updating spreadsheets all day. But building that traditional team, that is a massive amount of overhead, both financially and mentally, just to get your ideas off the ground. But what if one AI could just quietly handle half of that org chart directly from your laptop? Just imagine it. Instead of managing a team of 5 different people, you're directing a localized intelligence that executes all of those roles flawlessly. It's a pretty mind-bending proposition, honestly, and it brings us right to the core solution that makes this level of absolute leverage possible.
Moving into Section 2, how Axio Work operates. Alibaba's 24/7 agentic business team. Now, what's genuinely fascinating here is the underlying privacy architecture. This is what makes this tool completely different from those standard chatbots you've probably been playing around with.
So Axio Work is Alibaba.com's AI agent team built for actual real-world businesses. It's been trained on a staggering 26 years of Alibaba data. But here's the absolute kicker. It runs entirely locally. Your private files, your business data, your customer info, those top-secret strategy decks, they never leave your device. They aren't bouncing around on some external server, and they definitely aren't being used to train some third-party model. That absolute data privacy is a huge selling point, and frankly, it's what elevates this from a fun novelty to a serious business application.
Inside this secure, local environment, you've got a whole roster of specific specialists. You've got the Shopify operator taking care of store management, the e-commerce mind laser-focused on direct-to-consumer strategy, and a coder handling the heavy development lifting. You can even build your own custom agents completely from scratch, giving them their own unique vibe and instructions. And to keep things cost-effective, you can manually power these agents by hot-swapping between different underlying models, like Gemini, Claude, DeepSeek, or QN. So you can use a cheaper model for lightweight research and bring in the big guns for the heavy lifting like building a full website.
All right, Section 3, Test 1, Real-World Strategy, scaling Drickle Coffee both online and offline. To prove this isn't just theoretical hype, we're going to see how this builds a legitimate strategy for a real Shark Tank India coffee brand. They recently rebranded from Benami to Drickle. We're throwing the AI straight into the deep end with a live company to see if it spits out actual, actionable insights or just generic fluff.
First things first, the AI needs to break out of its chat box. So by installing the Axio Browser Melee extension, you're basically handing the AI the keys to independently browse the web. And the second it was prompted to figure out how to make Drickle the #1 coffee brand in India, it didn't just guess. It actively scoured quick commerce apps like Zomato, Blinkit, and Swiggy Instamart. It checked out Amazon India. It scanned Drickle's Instagram and LinkedIn profiles. It basically conducted live, independent market research exactly the way a human analyst would.
And guys, the strategy it came back with was stunningly specific. It concluded that Drinkle shouldn't even bother trying to win the product war against established specialty brands like Blue Tokai. Instead, it needs to win the behavior war. It recommended heavily leaning into their boba coffee offerings to capture the Gen Z market, focusing entirely on mood, fun, and versatility. For online sales, it suggested treating delivery apps like Swiggy as discovery platforms. And offline, it proposed this really smart hub-and-spoke retail model, featuring flagship experience centers supported by smaller, agile kiosks in corporate parks.
This really illustrates the true depth of the AI. When we pushed it for partnership ideas, it didn't just spit out some generic advice like, hey, partner with gyms. No, it formulated a concrete, structured deal with CultFit, proposing a 15% revenue share plus a free coffee for their elite members. It suggested an exclusive in-flight coffee deal for Akasa Air and even a boardroom collaboration for Vaywork. And then it took it a massive step further. It drafted the exact, ready-to-send outreach emails for every single one of those pitches, right down to the subject lines and baked-in offers. Absolutely wild.
Just think about the contrast here. If you took a brand to a traditional consulting titan like McKinsey or BCG, you'd be looking at thousands of dollars a month, weeks of preliminary setup meetings, and at the end of it all, you might just get some outdated slide decks. Axio Work? It delivered an instant, highly targeted analysis based on live, localized data from platforms like Blinkit and Instagram, all running locally and all at literally zero extra cost. The value proposition here is just off the charts.
Moving on to Section 4, Test 2. Building a store, launching Sunsense dropshipping from scratch. For our second big test, we wanted to see if it could actually build something tangible. We grouped 4 agents into a single unit, Team D2C, and handed them an empty Shopify store. The prompt was simple: build a profitable summer 2026 dropshipping brand. The execution here was completely flawless. The e-commerce mind agent instantly analyzed upcoming trends and selected 5 highly specific products, things like UV Guardian stickers and neck fans. It pulled real sourcing notes and projected profit margins directly from Alibaba. Then it autonomously spun up the entire brand identity for a company it named Sunsense. We're talking color palette, tone of voice, a catchy tagline, and a complete 7-day launch plan targeting 100 sales on a $1,500 ad spend. And while it was doing all that high-level strategy, the Shopify operator agent was busy in the background prepping the actual storefront.
So how does all this strategy actually translate into a live website? It takes about 3 minutes of manual setup on your end. You just hop into your Shopify backend, create a custom app, enable the exact API permissions the AI asks for, and paste the client ID and secret back into Axio. Boom! Once you do that, the AI takes total control. It physically uploads the products, writes all the SEO descriptions, sets the pricing, applies the brand colors, and publishes a fully live storefront.
All right, Section 5, the autonomous business team, AI running quietly in the background. Now, building the store is fantastic, and frankly, it makes for an incredible demo. But the truly mind-bending part of this explainer is how this permanent team operates after that initial launch phase is over.
See, you can connect the tools you already use every single day directly to Axio Work. You plug in Gmail for your outreach, LinkedIn for B2B sales, your TikTok ad strategy, your SEO tools, and Alibaba.com for supplier chats. By linking all these connectors and skills together, the software stops being just a static demo. It transforms into a literal operating team executing complex, real-world tasks across your entire digital ecosystem.
And that brings us to scheduled tasks. You set these workflows up exactly once. Then, quietly in the background, the work just keeps happening. You wake up to morning competitor reports sitting right in your inbox. You get comprehensive Sunday business reviews. You don't ever need to prompt the AI again. You don't even need to have your laptop open. The operational reporting and heavy lifting are fully automated, which gives you the mental bandwidth to focus on actual needle-moving growth. Finally, Section 6, Future of the Solopreneur, the power of absolute leverage. As we wrap up this explainer, let's just take a second to consider what this really means for the modern creator or the solopreneur trying to punch up and compete with massive corporations. We're simply no longer bottlenecked by the number of hours in a day or the budget we have to hire human analysts and developers. The deep research that used to require a full-time analyst, the store setup that required an expensive developer, the daily reporting that needed an entire ops team, it is all running locally, right on one machine. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. If one single founder has the localized, private leverage of an entire strategy, development, and operations team, how big can a one-person company truly get? It's an incredible thought, and it completely redefines the scale of what's possible. Thanks for learning with us today on this explainer.